Hello and happy FOMC Wednesday. Let's take a look at the overnight setup. So, with the current overnight setup, we had an initial high of day in this range here, which we did barely get into overnight. All right, so the idea here, if we were to look at the data, we'd hit most of our statistical targets, right? We'd hit the mid, we'd hit midnight, we'd hit a lot of these things. So, the main target we really had left was right here, the middle of this London range here, this London pre-market range. So ideally, because we'd hit an initial target here, what we want to see now, we have this weekly open down here as well. All right. So what we were looking for this morning was something along the lines of this. You wanted to see it bounce in here, push back up to get what's called a 5-0 to continue down into this range here. All right, with the understanding that this thing could really dump into this weekly open target. And it's not uncommon to just try to reach for that weekly open target, especially on Wednesday. So that's what we were looking for this morning. So on any pops, we were looking to start shorting back down. So we wanted to start entering once we got up in this range up here to go get this statistical area. Now there was some stat to go get this high, but we don't necessarily have to go get it at the open. But if we did, we would just try to add into the high of day zone. So the idea here, as we move up, let's get this thing moving. All right, we start moving up here. We try to pop this target. We didn't quite get it. We did on this candle, right? So there's our entry right here. All right, so if we were to take this back, the entry is going to be a little short of where it should have been, but that's fine. And our target price is going to be somewhere down in this range here. All right, so because this thing has a possibility of pushing back through the high after we get this completion to the downside, we typically want to take all of it and then look to re-enter on this move back up if we can find a good place for recovery. So let's see how this played out. All right, we got our target, and now we're looking to pop back up into this 930 zone. Now, what we're really looking to hold, just basics, we're just looking to really hold the trend. We're just looking to hold the trend, right? Because we're building what's called a 5-0 pattern to the downside. And so this also sets up what's called a deep crab as well, if you really want to look at it that way. But here we go. And so if you were to re-enter, you would look to try to keep this thing all the way down into this lower zone here. And so that target also got hit. Now what's going to happen? Well, our new high of day zone is actually up here because of the way the market has reacted around the open, right? We had a stat to come back down and get this here. So ideally, even if we reach for this, now FOMC is today, and FOMC can cause a lot of different movements, right? So we'll see how this pans out. And FOMC is in about 45 minutes, the release of the notes for FOMC. So we'll have to look to see what happens. But ideally, you want to see this thing try to push back up to the high of day zone here, because we've gotten into our second one. But if you notice, that weekly open is in that zone. So to get a pull, that would be fine. Now, because of FOMC, we don't really know exactly how this thing's going to react. But in a normal market, we'd look for this thing to try to push back up. Now, this is one of the rare days, if it weren't FOMC, that even though we're in these crazy below 10 deviation areas, that we would still look to try to take it back up. Now, we would want to scale along the way. All right, because if we don't, what could end up happening is we could get some profit and then end up losing it all. So this is really, it was a fairly simple day, but is any day really simple? So we'll see how the rest of the day plays out. We'll see if we can squeeze back out and get that high of day zone into FOMC or after FOMC, or see how it works. But ultimately, that short was the play. So hope everybody had a good day. I'll see everybody tomorrow.